Shalom. This year was census year in Australia. It gave us all a chance to indulge in a bit of nostalgia as we thought back to where we were, what we were doing, and what's changed in our lives since 5 years ago when that census form last confronted us. We've all grown a little older, some of us a little balder on top, or at least a lighter shade of grey. There's a couple of questions that never fail to get me thinking. One of them is, what are the main goods usually produced in your job? I mean, what are the main goods a rabbi produces? Maybe relief from insomnia during his sermons? And what about this question? What are the main tasks usually performed in your work? I felt like replying, if I list them all, will you read them all? But anyway, it prompted me to reflect on the most unusual things I'd done as a rabbi. And my mind went back about 10 years to when I became an actor for a day. No kidding. I got a call, Rabbi, we want you as an extra for a movie that SBS is screening. I said, you specifically need me? Yes, was the response. We need somebody who can act the part of a rabbi. Well, I'd been acting the part of rabbi for some 20 years, so I figured why not? So I turn up for work on the appointed day at the movie set, otherwise known as the Chabad House at Bondi. And I recognize a few familiar faces among my fellow thespians who had also been hired as extras. And so we wait, and I make a few phone calls, and we wait. And I open a sefer, a Jewish book, and start learning, which is, after all, acting like a rabbi. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait some more. And I discovered that in the acting profession, as one of the pros told me, you are paid for your patience, and you're so grateful to be paid for long hours of doing nothing that you agree to do a few minutes of filming in between for free. Well, eventually we made it onto the set, and the scene was, unfortunately, an all too familiar one. A Shiva minyan, a house of mourning. And the rabbi, that's me, is to lead the line of visitors approaching to wish the mourner long life. Well, I tell you, that actor playing the part of the mourner is destined for a very long life, because we must have shot that scene some 30 or 40 times. After every take, we wondered, what's the problem? Wasn't it just perfect? No good. The movements weren't quite correct. Too stilted, too fast, too slow. Now we have to shoot short lens, now long lens. Lens schmenz, I thought. I've got a bar mitzvah student waiting for me at home. No, we have to get it exactly right. Of course, Murphy's Law came good, because the best take they did, they ran out of film just before the end of the scene. Eventually we got it perfect, and I was able to make my great escape. Rabbi, you were terrific, the director said as I was leaving. I smiled sweetly and said, here's to the next time. I was half disappointed and half relieved that there was no next time. Why am I telling you this Gansa Megillah, this crazy story? Because there's a remarkable comment by that doyen of Bible commentators known as Rashi on a verse every serious Jew says twice every single day from the second paragraph of the Shema, the prayer affirming our Jewish faith. The context is, if we as the nation chosen to serve God keep his mitzvot, his commandments faithfully, we're going to be rewarded. If not, we'll be exiled from our natural home from the land of Israel. And then we're told, place these words of mine on your heart and soul, bind them to your hand between your eyes, teach them to your children, speak about them constantly, write them on the doorposts of your house. Practices familiar to every active Jew, tefillin, mezuzah, learning and teaching Torah. And it's here that Rashi writes perhaps the most extraordinary words he ever wrote. This is what he says. Even after you go into exile, even after you wander the globe, be distinguished, excel. The Hebrew word is metsuyanim, through the performance of mitzvot. And for what reason? So that they won't be unfamiliar to you when you return to your homeland. Astonishing words. What Rashi seems to be saying is that the only reason we're doing mitzvot now in our pre-messianic unredeemed world is for practice, not for real. We're just role-playing so that when Mashiach, our righteous Messiah, arrives and we return as a complete nation to rebuild Jerusalem, we won't have forgotten the Torah and we'll then be able to keep everything for real. Can this really be? Are we then just players acting out mitzvot, just like when I was acting out that Shiva scene for a TV movie? Have we just been acting out the Torah for the last 2,000 years? Has nothing been for real? God forbid. And in order to explain, I again need to draw upon my brief career of half a day as an actor to illustrate what I think Rashi is really saying here. On that movie set, we, from an untrained perspective, were getting more and more frustrated because we thought we'd done the scene so well so many times, and this again and again was all a waste of time and energy. But that's not the way the professionals saw it. The real major actors, the producer, the director, they saw with their trained eye that with every take we did, we were getting better and better. We were drawing closer and closer to the level of excellence that was required. And then finally, we broke through the barrier and we achieved it. And that's what Rashi's saying. Not that we are, heaven forbid, only doing the mitzvot here and now for pretense, for a play, but rather that with every daily donning of tefillin, with every word of Torah learned and taught, with every coin placed in every charity box, in every home or synagogue, with every word of genuine prayer, with every word of genuine comfort to the bereaved, to the sick, to the lonely, we're getting closer to perfection, nearer to the level of excellence that will turn this unredeemed world into a redeemed world. Tikkun olam b'malchut Shaddai, a perfect world under the rulership of God and of godly values. And Rashi cites as a proof text a verse from Jeremiah, Hatzavil lach tzionim, erect signposts for yourselves. Tzionim, related to Tzion, Zion. It refers to Jerusalem. But Tzionim is also related to Metsuyanim, meaning to be distinguished, in excellence. That same word Rashi uses in his comment. Establish for you renewed levels of excellence is what Rashi understands Jeremiah to be saying. We're coming up to another Rosh Hashanah, another new year. Every year we make resolutions to practice our Judaism a little better. Do we always succeed? Do we ever succeed? These are questions we may ask ourselves in moments of frustration. As bit players in the movie called Life on the Global Operations film set, we can't see how we may be inching closer and closer to the goal, just as we novice actors could not see how our performances on that movie set were getting any better. But the Global Operations Director, or GOD for short, does see, and he does take note. He sees a Jew improving slowly but surely in his grasp of prayer book Hebrew, in her charity giving, or in his or her attachment to the keeping of Shabbat, or strict kosher living, or growth in Jewish learning. A little better, a little closer. It may be any moment now that the GOD, the Global Operations Director, will say, cut. That's the final take. And here is the star of my show, Mashiach himself, to take you all on eagle's wings, where eagles dare, to the Holy Land in preparation for the grand global finale to last at least 1,000 years. And so to return us back to earth and to the census forms and to the question that prompted this whole spiel. Remember the question? What are the main tasks usually performed in your work? Well, the reality is that whether we're rabbis, doctors, lawyers, accountants, plumbers, students, retirees, or indeed professional actors, if we're Jewish, which is our main job in life, there's only one way to answer that question. It isn't the answer the federal government is looking for. But had I been bold enough, this is what I would have written. The main task performed in my work is to practice towards perfection, because that's what really counts. Let's all work together toward that final take. May you all be blessed from the source of all blessing with a Shana Tova U'Metuka, a year of good health, nachas, and high achievements.